Hi there. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to ask you an important question. Are you wondering why your hard work isn't reflecting in your bank account? If so, I've got something that could change the game for you. With my Digital Product Accelerator one-on-one coaching program, I'm on a mission to help entrepreneurs like you bank consistent revenue without sacrificing your time or sanity. Imagine shifting from 90% client-facing work to enjoying consistent revenue from your digital products, all while reclaiming your time. You already know that you don't need another course, and a one-size-fits-all approach isn't going to cut it. What you need is a strategic, long-term plan tailored just for you. So if you're ready to build the profitable, freedom-giving business you've dreamed of, apply to work with me by going to destinycop.com/apply. I cannot wait to learn more about you and your business. Welcome to the Course Creators MBA podcast. I'm your host, Destiny Cop. And in this podcast, we're covering actionable tips to grow your online course business. Before I begin, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by my Course in a Box program, which helps you create your revenue-generating course in less than a week. Course in a Box is on the AppSumo marketplace at a special deal, and the link for Course in a Box on AppSumo is in our show notes. And today we are in the middle of our Course Creator series where I'm chatting with ordinary course creators just like you. We're going to be talking about their journey and their online course business, how they got started, the challenges they've experienced, and how they overcame them. These are real discussions with real people. And today, my special guest is Anna, or Banana to her friends. And Anna is a Facebook group strategist, adoptive mom, and 20-year operating room nurse who lives just north of Los Angeles. She has built successful online businesses using Facebook groups as her sole strategy for over 10 years. She is the creator of the Done For You group content creation membership conversation starter and the course Mastering the Arts of Facebook Group. Anna, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Destiny, for having me. I love your podcast, so thank you for having me.
So excited that you're here. I absolutely love your story, which is one of the reasons why we connected. I just think it's so important for everybody to hear kind of where you started and how you've pivoted and changed and what you've been doing all over the years. But before we dive into the questions, why don't you begin and tell the audience a little bit about you?
Sure. Great. Thank you. Because my story is long and windy, but I'll just share a little bit about myself. Like you said, I am a registered nurse that works full-time. I am an adoptive mother. My daughters are both 17 and 14 now, but we adopted them when they were little itty-bitty babies. And I have always loved to just get up and go. So I am a 48-year-old mom that plays hockey. Some people think I'm crazy, but I have a really hard time sitting still. Let me just tell you, which is probably why I originally jumped into business because, after being in nursing for, at the time, 10 years plus, I was ready to add something onto my plate. My kids were little and I just wasn't being fulfilled in the nursing life. I had changed jobs every 3 to 5 years, changed positions, rode the nursing ladder, and I had hit kind of a slump, and I just was looking for something to do. And that really led me into, building my own business. I knew nothing about business. I literally was a tomboy jock nurse and knew nothing about business. It sounds I love so crazy. Yeah. I didn't know anything about business. And so I just, I'm one to take on challenges And I wasn't being challenged anymore in my nursing career. So I was, like a lot of people, presented with this opportunity through network marketing. I mean, a lot of online entrepreneurs start in the network marketing space that know nothing about business. And that was me. I knew nothing. I just watched what people were doing and I thought, gosh, I want that. I want the freedom. I want the accolades. I want to be able to pay for my kids' daycare. I want to be able to pay for my kids' karate lessons. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger. I want to pay my mortgage. And so I've always kind of tried to reach the next level and always challenge myself, because I don't know what it is. I never want to sit still in the moment. I mean, that could work against me as well, but I see experiences as being in the moment. So I'm really one to jump on experiences, like hopping on a plane and going to play pond hockey in Vermont this year, those kind of things. So those are my sitting still moments. So that's a little bit about my story.
Well, those aren't sitting still. That's moving and keep moving.
It is, I know.
And I love seeing your post about your kids on Facebook.
Thank you.
Just adorable. And I've enjoyed watching them grow over the years.
Into young adults now.
Yeah, they for sure are. So tell me a little bit. You got started, you said, in the network marketing space. What did you do, and how did you kind of get into that, and how did that take off?
Sure. Probably a lot like most people that have gotten started in that space. I, at the time, was a nurse clinical systems analyst. Okay. I am an operating room nurse by trade. That's where I lay my hat. But for 5 years, I sat at a desk in the basement of the IT department in a big local hospital. And I just kind of let myself go. So I was turned on to this thing called P90X, and I decided to gather my friends around and say, let's do this, let's challenge ourselves. And so, of course, I was the only one that stuck with it. I got amazing, great results. I felt great. I felt healthy. And I was like, all right, what can I do next? Oh, wow, there's this business. Okay. So I became a Beachbody coach because I had, experience with the products, and I was, beaming from ear to ear with my success, and, people were asking me what I was doing. And so naturally I wanted to share with them. And then I thought, okay, well, I can share this with them. It'll keep me accountable. Everyone wins. And I really wasn't in it for the money. I just wanted to not lose my results that I had, until I started to see people paying off debt and, leaving their job and things like that. So I dove in to the business side of it because I just saw this excitement in doing something that I have never done before. Using the knowledge that I had, I felt like I was a pretty smart person, and knew that I could learn and be successful. Like I've never second guessed myself in that category. So I knew I could learn this. I didn't know how successful I would be, but I knew that this was totally worth my time. So I dove in head first, and I just, started to reach out and listen to people and listen to what their success stories were, and really kind of follow and emulate, what they were doing, but really kind of doing it my own way. And, looking back at it when I decided, and I'll get into that later, but looking back at it when I decided to go do Facebook groups, I built my business solely on building Facebook groups. And, they were accountability groups. I would invite people to the groups. We would do a challenge, this was before challenges were popular. And I was able to motivate people, which was really, for me, I felt like as a person, I was doing something right in the world. As a mom, I was showing my daughters, what a good role model was. I always had good role models in my life. My mom, I always call her a workaholic, but looking at it now, she showed me what was possible as a businesswoman. She was a she was a businesswoman with no education. And I watched that growing up. So I wanted to be a good role model for my daughters. So why wouldn't I, talk about health and fitness? And wow, I was making money. Okay, this is even better. And then I just started to inspire. And for me, it was really inspiring my community. And the bonus was the income. So, so that's really how I started in the business. And then I just grew from there. It took me about 4 years to really reach all the goals that I had set for myself. I had, if anyone is familiar with network marketing, I reached that top, 0.01% of the company. I had set my goal for that, and it took me 4 years to get there, but I got there. I was just on a high, and then I got a little burnt out. Living my life and working out every day on social media got a little old.
And you were still working as a nurse, right?
And I was still working as a nurse, but I will tell you that at, year 4, when I hit all those goals, I was hitting I hit a financial goal that I was matching my nurse management salary. So my kids were in elementary school. I decided I'm going to quit the job. I'm going to just do this full time. So in August of 2015, I quit my job as, in a nurse management role. I was receiving, management pay. I quit my job and I stayed home with my kids for 3 years, just being a Beachbody coach and making 6 figures and, providing the exact same way as I was providing in my day job, but I was home with my kids in that transition from elementary school to junior high, which is something that I really, really wanted to do because, as we all know, junior high is tough and especially for daughters. So I reached that goal and I quit nursing, and I never thought, in hindsight, there were some things that I should have not let go, but I never thought I would go back to nursing. So I was a full-time Beachbody coach for about 3 years. Until I lost not my love for it, because I still love them. I still love what they're about, but I just got burnt out. I had been working out in front of the camera for so many years, and I started overthinking things, and I had all of this time on my hand, right? Because my kids were now settled in junior high. And so I decided, this was about 5 years ago, I guess. Yeah. I decided to go back to nursing, but I didn't need the money. So I said, I'm going to go back to nursing. I'm going to do what I love. I'm going to go back in the operating room. I don't need the money. I'm still making really good money in my network marketing business. And I went back to work in the operating room as a staff nurse, no management, no responsibilities, just working at a hospital that I had never worked at. It had always had this great reputation. It was like, okay, if I'm going to go back, I'm going to go back big. So I started at this trauma center as a staff nurse, and, life happens, and I was struggling with some life struggles. And with the fact that I was completely burnt out of working out, I thought, you know what? I can't just sit here and be a nurse. I love nursing. I love what I do, but I still felt the push to be somebody, not be somebody, but really to do something that was fulfilling outside of nursing, because nursing is, and this was pre-COVID, nursing is incredibly stressful. You wonder why you see nurses exhausted and, a lot of nurses gain weight, and it's just a really stressful job. And now we all know that because we've seen it on TV, but it's a true story. And so for me, I didn't want to fall down that rabbit hole. I really wanted to give myself something outside of work to really be proud of, to really stretch myself, and to really honestly show those that I was surrounded by that, like, life is so much more than just showing up to your job. So I said, I'm going to build my own business. I know how to do it. I've been doing it long enough. I know marketing. I know sales psychology. I know how to be myself. What is it that I can do that I can use all of the knowledge that I had from my network marketing experience? What is it? What business can I do and still work full-time as a nurse and have kids? And, and so I thought, you know what? I was so good. I'm shooting my own horn. I was so good at building community. And that was my own community around my own, team of coaches, as well as other teams of coaches. I had no problem hopping in somebody else's group and really inspiring them to do this, to, be someone, to, believe in themselves, all of those things. And I was able to build these communities that I was just so proud of. And, customers that stuck around for years and years and years. And so I said, you know what? And at the time, I didn't really know if anyone was teaching Facebook groups, but I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to teach Facebook groups. And then I go, okay, now who am I going to teach that to? And I said, I'm not going to go down the network marketing route because this is what I said back then. That's just too easy. Let's do it the hard way. Let's start from scratch, just so that you can prove that you know what you're talking about, not only to other people, but really to yourself. And so I started with a perfectly clean slate, zero audience, zero course, zero idea what the heck I was going to do with my audience, but I just knew I wanted to teach Facebook groups to business owners. Right. And after all of these years, I've been able to narrow things down and who is really my ideal group member and who my ideal audience is and who my ideal course goers are, or one-on-one, or, I've really used my time to understand the things that I didn't understand about business. So I could rely on the things that I knew, that I had learned over all of those years, but I was still ready to, learn new things and trial and error. I'm the biggest fan of trial and error. So I was able to really, really and my whole goal was really to make a name for myself in this Facebook, as a Facebook group guru, right? I don't know. I know guru is such a funny name, but it's just, I wanted to be that go-to person when it came to Facebook groups, but I wanted to be the person that was unlike your typical, and I don't know what your typical, Facebook group person looks like, but I didn't want to be your typical Facebook group person. I wanted to really, give people permission to be themselves, to do this with a busy life. I mean, I was living as the example, working full-time in a trauma center and building a brand new business and building a brand new group and a brand new audience from scratch, all while working full time. And now I can, now I use that as examples of the courses that I've created and, how to do it on a busy life. Most of my clients, I will tell you though, do not work full time. And it's really interesting because they still see the connection with it's almost like they say, if she can do it on her schedule, there's no reason why I can't do this. And that is what brings me joy. And a big reason why I show up every day, even though, especially during these times, I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 12-hour shifts. I come home on Wednesday night and I am completely fried. And I'm excited to wake up on Thursday so that I can bring my full energy. And my audience knows that. They know what my schedule is like. And it really gives them permission to not have to be a certain way. And that's what's given me, what's given me success in this business. Is I didn't have to be a certain thing or do it a certain way. And I just created and I listened to my audience and I created. I know, Destiny, you're one of those people that helped mold my original program. based on and I remember this very vividly, based on a conversation we had in our direct message. This was, probably 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, about something that I was, sharing in the Facebook group. And I remember you said, why don't you turn this into something? Like, you need to sell this. I go, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to sell this. And that's really what started me actually monetizing my group, because I didn't know what I wanted to sell. I thought it was a course in the beginning, and it was just so fresh and so early, and I didn't really know. I didn't really pay attention to my audience, and that flopped completely. But then I just started to throw things out there, and I wanted to listen and listen and listen. And that was what I was really good at with community. And I listened to people like you who said, you really do need to sell this. And sure enough, that's what got the ball rolling. So it's not only been an incredible journey as a business owner, but also as a person, just as a human being, connecting with people. And now, of course, this was, again, before we've all been on lockdown, just the value of community and connection, even in the online space. That's something that I had been preaching before this. Now it's like proof that is exactly what we need. We need that online connection, those relationship buildings. We don't need to be a number in a Facebook group. We don't need to be a number that, we're just tallying up to be, so that I hit a certain goal sell a certain number of courses. Like, the more human we are, the easier it becomes to show up every day, to sell every day, and so I just love what I do. I still continue after all these years, love to learn, love to, look at my message. Is my message correct? I'm always a student. So yeah, that's where I'm at today now. I know that was a very long story.
But I loved it. And I'd like to unpack some of the things you said there, because I think some of these points are so very critical for folks that may be in the early stages of going into an online business and trying to figure out what they are really going to offer and who they're going to help. You mentioned that you just got started, and initially you maybe hadn't completely decided on who you were going to help and what that ideal customer was going to look like, but that kind of molded and changed over time. And you used the time that you had to understand, who you were going to help, what that person looked like. Hey there, Destiny here, and I'm the host of the Creators MBA podcast. And this episode is brought to you by HelloContent.shop, your go-to destination for content creation in your online digital product business. I understand how busy you are as an online business owner. I am right there with you. And that is why I have filled our Hello Content Shopify store with low-cost digital products that you can use as a lead magnet or part of your paid programs like your online courses or memberships. We also have marketing templates like email swipe files and social media templates designed to save you time and money. So whether you're looking to streamline your content strategy, enhance your digital products, or just save some precious time, I've got you covered, my friend. Now visit the HelloContent.shop today and take the first step towards effortless content creation.
Right. Yeah. I knew, well, when it comes, when I was a fresh newbie, I just knew I wanted to inspire other people to, feel healthy, to look healthy. I didn't know who my target was then. I just wanted everyone needs to feel healthy and look healthy. And I didn't care who I was talking to. It just, and that back then too, social media was just starting. And it was actually really looked down upon on building business. And even my mentor, came to my house and we went to the mall and I watched him talk to people in person and really, connect with people in person. And it was like, that's the way you're supposed to do it. And I go, I can't do this. I'm not a person to person. Like, I got to figure out a way to do this the way I can do it. And then I just said, you know what, I'm putting my foot down. I'm just going to connect with people online. And that was right in the beginning of when Facebook first started. And sure enough, as we know, many, many years later, social media is the more rapid way to be successful. And I just wish in the beginning I listened to my gut tell me that. And my gut was telling me, do it your way, do it your way, do it your way. Listen to what they have to say, but do it your way. And that when I pivoted my business, it was kind of the same thing. I'm going to do it my way, because I knew that you could be successful doing it your way. So I didn't know what that way looked like, but I just kept following my gut, and I just kept listening to what, people either resonated with or they didn't resonate with. And I would take note of those things. And then that really just, I think it just guides you into really understanding who you're talking to. Now I know, I have a very clear vision of who my ideal audience is, but I didn't know that in the beginning. And the only way that I discovered that was really just to ask questions. And did I get excited about, what they had to say? Or was it something that I was excited to answer? That's a really good thing. It's, if someone asks a question about my business, about their struggles in my business, and I get excited about answering, then I know that person is my ideal person, right? If someone asks a question and I'm like, ugh, I don't feel like answering this, then I know that type of person is not necessarily my ideal person. And I just use those cues and those clues to really follow my gut, right? I know it just sounds so cheesy, but it's really true. I mean, we get so in our head, even to this day, after all these years, I still tend to overthink things. And I'm continually being called out on that. But, I think that's part of the process too. So I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Absolutely. So it's really, talking with people and just asking questions and interacting with them, in a
Yeah.
real environment, and just being true to yourself, and, wanting to help them. You talked about trial and error. You said that you've had a lot of trial and error.
Oh, yeah.
Do we ever have failures or errors in business and marketing? I kind of look at them like they're just learning opportunities, not really errors, but we know how we're going to, pivot and change from, what we learned.
Right. And I think that, I have a really hard time calling them failures. Like you said, I refuse. So one of the things that I think that I really, really am, strongly convicted in is refusing to say the words failure, like, oh, my launch failed. Even though I've definitely on paper, you would say, okay, why did your launch fail? I refuse to say that it's a failure. I like you say, okay, what did we learn from this? Why did it happen? What is it that we can get out of this? Why, there's always a reason for something. And yeah, I absolutely still have on paper failures. Recently I've had a few of them, and I just refuse to call them that, and just look at the situation and say, what can I learn from this? How can I make this better? Where's my mindset around that? How do I show up about this? It's really just even asking your own questions. So not only asking the questions to those who could be your possible, clients, but asking yourself those same questions. Like, what am I struggling with? Why am I doing the things I'm doing? And really understanding that. But I do think that takes time to get there. And I think, like anything, it takes practice, right? When you say, it takes practice to say, okay, without calling myself a failure, what is it that I can improve on? Because I see so many people saying that they fail, or my group is such a failure, or my group just sucks, or my group is, it's just like, my goal is to take that verbiage out of your vocabulary, because it serves you no good to really admit to the fact that, okay, your engagement stinks, but really, is your group that much of a failure? You really, look, you brought people in here. People wanted to be a part of your group. That's successful as it is. And so really that mindset of failure, I tend to work on a lot with my community, because if you're in my group, chances are either you feel like you're a failure with groups, you are afraid of being a failure in groups, or you've seen other people fail and you don't want that to happen to you anyways. But failure is a really big topic that I tend to address, because we don't see those as learning opportunities. We see them as failures, and it's just really not that way. So
you mentioned that you're always a student. I'd love to know, given what you've learned over the years, and I'm sure things have certainly changed with 2020. Can you talk about your next steps in 2021 and some of the things you're thinking about, and where are you going to take your business?
Yeah, I think that's great. Evolution is great. Every year, as long as you show up and you set some goals, your business is going to evolve, whether it's financially or whether it's clarity. And that's where being a student comes in. I know for me, over the 10 plus years, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on education and training and this and that and this and that. And, you just get better at understanding what you need when you need it. And so, I always do kind of a gut check of, why do I feel like I need this? Or am I just filling a gap that may or may not be there? I mean, trust me, I've spent plenty of money on courses that I didn't need because I didn't do the gut check. So after the years of evolution of my business, you just sit with it. You go, okay, what do I need this year? All right, this year. So last year was visibility for me. It didn't have anything to do with monetary value. It had everything to do with visibility. I wanted to be known as the Facebook group person. So I really studied, how to become visible, and really kind of take those steps and really believe in the possibility. And so by the end of last year, that's really, I feel like I crossed that bridge where people could say my name and know that I was the Facebook. Okay, visibility, great. So now it's really being honest with myself in really streamlining things. Because you get to a point, you start a new business, you get to a point where you're like, you just have to trust that you know what you're doing. When you trust that you know what you're doing, then moving forward, it's like a matter of just tweaking things. For me, it's just a matter of tweaking things and making things more streamlined, and knowing that my content is great, my courses are great, my one-on-one strategy is great, and now that I'm getting the visibility, it's really just making sure people know that it exists, right? So for me, this year is really not visibility for myself. It's really visibility for the content that I have, which obviously we all do, but which I feel is completely different than anything else out there. So my focus this year is really to get people to understand that and to really see it. So it's got a hint of visibility, but it's got a, more of, I don't necessarily want people to, it's not about me. It's about my transformation that I can give to my people. I was really just trying to prove that I was actually somebody that knew what I was talking about last year. Now it's like, all right, guys, let's put this into play, because these have already been tested. there have been transformations. So it's just getting that into more and more hands and really seeing those transformations. So I really am excited about this year because I'm excited about what my students' transformations are going to look like. So really, that's really my focus this year.
So let me ask you this, and we're getting towards the end of our time here. What advice do you have for other online course creators or online entrepreneurs if they haven't developed their course yet? What advice do you have for them?
So my biggest advice that I have is something that you'll probably fight with year after year after year, is really to stop overthinking things and start doing things. And, without the fear of failure, because, okay, and I'm going to totally botch this quote, but I'm a hockey player, and there's a Wayne Gretzky quote of, you miss every shot you don't take. Right?
You got it right. I have it up on
Okay.
my son's room.
Thank you. I knew at one point, one of these days I would actually get it right. Okay. So you miss every shot you don't take, right? So the fear of failure, if you remove that completely and you just take the shot, you could also use the Hamilton quote too. If you just take the shot, you just never know what's going to happen, right? It could be that you completely fail. For example, when I started teaching Facebook groups, I just said, okay, I'm going to put together a course. And I think I even built the course, right? It was brand new, built the course, tried to sell the course, and like nobody was interested. So instead of saying, I totally failed, this is what I really wanted. I really wanted to sell a course. Instead of falling down that trap, I thought, okay, maybe my audience isn't ready for a course, and really just being proud of the fact that I put that out there to see if they were ready for it or not. So shoot your shot, and don't be afraid of what comes after. Whatever it is you're going to learn and move to the next step, right? If you look at it as a game, like, I'm going to just take this risk. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to tell someone, whether it's like sending off 5 direct messages and having, a simple conversation and just see where they lead. You'd be surprised at how proud you are of yourself. And you go, okay, all right, I'm taking a step further. And yeah, so just don't be afraid to take that shot, and, trust your gut. Trust your gut. That's really what it comes down to.
And I absolutely love that. I have a quote on my wall. It's one of those it's one of those things I build at like one of those AR workshops, where you have the paint and everything. It says, don't worry about failures, worry about the chances you miss if you don't even try.
Well, then there you go. You summed it up for me.
So perfect.
Right?
I absolutely loved your story today. I love the twist. I love the turns and kind of all the changes that you've done.
Like a roller coaster.
It's so inspiring. And I want people to know that you can leave a job and go back to it. You can quit, quit an entrepreneur, role like you did with Beachbody and do something different. You can do all of this over the course of your years, and you're going to learn so much every time you make that change.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest fears also, is just, if I make this decision, what happens to me? If I quit my job, what are people going to think? If I quit my business, what are people going to think? If you can remove that, the other side is just so nice. So yeah, I fought through all of those demons about going back to work. What are people going to think? Did they think that I was a failure in business if I went back to work? No, I don't care. I'm enjoying being back at work, even though it's hard. I don't have to justify that. But that took a lot of time and learning. But yeah, absolutely. There's nothing that says that you can't go back to what you were doing without feeling bad about it. Like, it's your story. Your story is your story and nobody else's.
Anna, can you let people know where they can find you?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. You can find me in two places. One, simple place is Instagram, the direct message in Instagram. Shoot me a message, say that you heard this podcast and say hello. And that's at Anna, ANNA _B as in boy _gray, GRAY. So you can find me on Instagram there, or you can find me in my Facebook group called Facebook Group Success with Anna, or hosted by Anna. And on those entry questions, just say where you found me. If you found me on this podcast, let me know so that I can reach out and say hello to you.
And I will make sure that all of those links in the show notes so people know exactly where to find you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. And course creators, thanks so much for joining us today. If you have any questions about Course in a Box, which is offered on AppSumo, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or DM me on Instagram. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Anna. Would love for you to rate and review the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform and show us some love there. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.